Those who seek for every good to be of them should equally seek for every evil to be of them. You're welcome, viewers, to this episode, still on PMP of August 25th to 27th, 2003, and the section is in the entrepreneur. Yes, the entrepreneur, for the business people. And it looks like everybody in the world is a businessman. Come to Ghana, everybody wants to do business. Everybody wants to relax, sit down somewhere, and the money keeps going. And they'll be smiling and laughing. Nobody wants to do very hard work, and that's compelled to. So let's go to entrepreneur. And that is on page 8 of the issue, yes, of the paper. This it looks like it always starts with this headline. Anyway, I shall read it all the same. In an era of tough business competition, high price of goods and utilities, dwindling profits, rapidly changing markets, time pressures, and lack of resources, the entrepreneur needs more than guts and nerves to survive. Today's entrepreneur needs expert advice to sail through the stormy business world. PMP Business Page offers just that. We offer expert business advice for entrepreneur. Would-be entrepreneurs, and the business-minded reader. And the business-minded, sorry. And it adds reader on. I don't know. Maybe it wants to say read on. Pardon me. Okay, I will, instead of reader on, I'll say read on. I'll say read on. Okay, read on. And it's represented by like this handshake, pointing four fingers. This is a below my fingers. So let's read on. Namshi. Finger 1. How to improve an existing one. 2. How to stay in competition. 3. How to solve some tough business problems. Our expert business consultant will be handy every Monday to offer tidbits on how to improve your business. Let's start with the extreme left-hand side of it. It's divided into 3 lines. E-commerce. Yes, e-commerce in deep print. I'm desperate to get involved in e-commerce and the new economy, but at the age of 45, I feel I may have already missed the boat. I'm financially secure enough to get involved in a new venture, but I would like to know if there's a market for people of my age and also what skills are needed. And the writer or the questioner is Dennis Dansuma, Ghana. Okay. The business aspect says, this is the answer. My own opinion, you're not too old. 45 is not any old age. Even 70, even 80, you can still live. Once the stomach is there, the stomach will demand food. So let's see the advice. The business expert says, it's good sign that you are still interested in moving across at this stage in the e-commerce game, when it has become clear that involvement in a .com is not a guaranteed passport to instant wealth. Well, today is no more news. .coms and whatnot is no more news. Okay. To flourish in transition, it is important that your interest in the sector is not just financial. And the good news is that there is indeed a need in e-commerce for those with strong management skills and experience in guiding business over the medium and longer term. Paragraph. How to go about finding the right niche. But then it's a question mark. I don't know why it's so. How to go about finding the right niche. I don't know why the question mark. Maybe it's an error, printing error or something. Okay. One option would be to explore online possibilities in your own traditional company. For example, in e-procurement or direct distribution. This is at least, or let's see, this at least would give you a feel for the kinds of issues likely to crop up and would provide a crash course in the terminology. Paragraph. Alternatively, if you are a director of an established business, you could put a toe in the water as a non-executive director of a startup. Nowadays, venture capitalists are keen to appoint board members to provide a bridge between the young entrepreneurs and spawned the venture and the older straighter investors. Okay. Paragraph, sorry. Consultancy is another avenue. Pardon me. Consultancy is another avenue on your own or with an established company. Have you got what it takes to survive and thrive in the pressured environment of a setup? Question mark here is correct because it's really a question. It's indeed a question. In my experience, flexibility, resourcefulness, and patience are certainly some of the qualities that characterize those who have made a successful transplant. Paragraph. In the wake of the recent e-commerce roller coaster, some words of caution. Then, choose your e-venture carefully. The idea must be good and have sufficient relevant differentiation to distance it from its competitors. And obvious as it may sound, the business must be based on a model capable of generating profit. A surprising number of the e-commerce companies I have seen have had previous little commercial news among their senior people, and their enthusiastic business plans have lacked by a substantive way of converting consumer interest into hard cash. Of course, hard cash means money. The money you can put into your pocket, not money on your wallet, on YouTube, but cash, just holding the cash like this. Okay. And I think that's it for that, for the e-commerce. Now we go to how do I manage my anger at work? You can't do business if you get angry very easily. Okay. Let's see. Who is the writer? Delphina Airport. Oh, what a nice name. I think it's a lady. Yes, Delphina should be a lady. Let's see. I'm ambitious. I am ambitious and hardworking, but every so often I lose my rag at work. Oh, I think he wants to say even so. Listeners, what do you see? Okay, let's read it my own way and see. I'm ambitious and hardworking, but even so often, she's right. I'm sorry. I'm right. I'm wrong. She's right. I'm ambitious and hardworking, but every so often I lose my rag at work and say and do things that I later regret. Yeah, and say and do things that I later regret. I don't like myself for having been mean, and I worry it may be damaging my career prospects. Is there anything I can do? Yes, there's something you can do. You have solved your own problem by knowing what is wrong with you. That's the first step in solving your own problem. You know what's wrong with you. Mm-hmm. Is there anything I can do? Delphina, Airport. The business expert says losing one's temper and sounding off is by no means a rare occurrence at work. A friend of mine has a fronted tomahawk on his wall, awarded by his colleagues in recognition of his occasionally vitriolic style in his email correspondence. Full stop. Having this visible reminder has modified his style of communication when he is angry, so that he has been known to pause for 10 minutes before hitting the send button on a message berating his staff for letting the site down. Paragraph. The things that make him see and I see. The things that make him see red are carelessness and lack of foresight that could damage the reputation of the company he leads. I remember reading this piece, yes, long time ago, 20 years back. Okay. The things that make him see red are carelessness and lack of foresight, and that would damage the reputation of the company he leads. Having identified these areas as triggers for his anger has helped him manage the emotions better, and I suggest that this would be a useful exercise for you too. There is often a pattern to what sends us into orbit, and if we can spot it, we have a chance of reducing the frequency with which our hot buttons get pressed and the severity of our reactions when they are. Paragraph. The most common triggers in my experience are when someone acts in a way that appears to disregard a value we hold dear. This may not be something we are often overtly aware of. Usually, our values are established in our early years and held deep. Not only are these core beliefs about what is right often unexamined, we may never have explained to our colleagues and staff how we feel and how that impacts on our expectations of them. I suggest your most recent outbursts to try to identify what your sensitive areas are. I suggest, pardon me, I've messed up. Let me read it well. I suggest you review. I omitted the word review. I suggest you review your most recent outbursts to try to identify what your sensitive areas are. We can be honest with ourselves about whether the cause of our anger was really defensive. We can be honest with ourselves about whether the cause of our anger was really defensive or whether it was sparked by some past injustice. Full stop. Although, as the saying has it, the angry man always believes his anger is justified. I love that. The angry man always believes his anger is justified. That's right. Nothing could be more right than that. Even if it's wrong. Okay. Mm. Oh, I've laughed and missed the page. The most, not only are these core beliefs, not only are these core beliefs about what is right, often exemplified, we may never have explained to our colleagues and staff. No, I jumped it. Anger is justified. Let's go to that. I'm sorry, believers, for laughing at the wrong time. Where am I? Okay, let me go back more. Let me go back further. The things that make him see red are carelessness and lack of foresight that could damage the reputation of the company he leads. Having identified these areas as triggers for the anger has helped him manage his emotions better, and I suggest that this would be a useful exercise for you too. There is often a pattern to what sends us into orbit, and if we can spot it, we have a chance of reducing the frequency with which our hot buttons get pressed and the severity of our reactions when they are. The most common triggers, in my experience, are when someone acts in a way that appears to disregard a value we hold dear. This may not be something we are often overtly aware of. Usually our values are established in our early years and held deep. Not only are these core beliefs about what is right often exemplified, we may never have explained to our colleagues and staff how we feel and how that impacts on our expectations of them. I suggest you review, oh, I've gone back too far. I suggest you review your most recent outbursts to try to identify what your sensitive areas are. We can be honest with ourselves about whether the cause of our anger was really defensive or whether it was sparked by some past injustice or personal prejudice. Not not or some personal prejudice not really relevant to the current situation. Yeah, I'm not getting to where I stopped. I went too far. Pardon me for wasting your time, viewers. Although, as the saying has it, the angry man always believes his anger is justified. On reflection, you may just be able to identify that from another's point of view, your stance and resulting anger may not have been reasonable. Meanwhile, don't forget that a genuine apology works wonders. Yes. I think that's all for that part. Okay, successful bargaining. Successful bargaining. I remember something when I was in Nigeria. You go to buy something, the fellow will tell you it's 100 naira. You say, oh, can you reduce? I'll give you 90. The seller says, okay, bring money. Then the buyer says, what about 85? The seller will say, bring money. The buyer will say, The buyer will say, what about 80? The seller will say, bring money. The seller will say, what about 75? They will go along like that until they are fighting and insulting each other. So that's the other part of bargaining. All right. Successful bargaining. There are only two goals in virtually every negotiation. In virtually every negotiation, there are to solve problems and to build relationships. Two, they are also in form of arrows, but not that this time, not fingers. Okay, two, do your homework. Know your facts. Be clear about your goals. Your goal, and at the same time, goals. The S is in brackets. Be clear about your goals and identify your fears. Know what your best alternative to a negotiated agreement is. 3. Don't ask what do you want. Don't ask what do you want. Then Ghanaians can do business. The moment you appear there, say, what do you want? Upeden. Upeden. And when you haven't reached that at all, Upeden. What do you want? Okay. Don't ask what do you want. You are putting questions in your opponent's mouth. It will force them to take a position. 5. Separate interests into brackets. I want the window open. Separate interests then into brackets. I want the window open from bracket close, from positions, another brackets. I want to be comfortable. Separate. Okay, so the inverted commas come twice. Separate interests out of commas. I want the window open. Then from positions also out of commas. I want to be comfortable. Okay, let me read all smoothly. Let's see. Separate interests. I want the window open from positions. I want to be comfortable. Okay. 5, I suppose. Yes. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't allow yourself to get emotionally involved. Don't allow yourself to get emotionally involved. Assume nothing. Ask questions. Assume nothing. Ask questions. Be curious and furious. Hey, I don't know what that means. Be curious. Sorry. I get the point now. I read it wrongly. Be curious, not furious. Yes. Be curious, not furious. Do actively listen. Okay, it's right. Do actively listen. In other words, listen actively. Do actively listen. Not just to what they say, but read their body language. Remember that less than half of their remember that but not their okay. Let me take it again. Not just to what they say. Do actively listen, not just to what they say, but read their body language. Remember that less than half of human communication is verbal. I love that. Less than half of human communication is verbal. They will tell you. You ask everybody, I think it's right. It's always by signs or by reaction, by looking at the eyes, and then the emotions of the second person. Okay, remember that less than half of human communication is verbal. 6. I think that's 7. That's rather 7. Don't treat the party and the conflict as the same. Don't treat the party and the conflict as the same. They are separate entities, in other words. Okay, we go to the last third of the page. Yes, man. Yes, man. That is the title. Under my finger, you see it. Yes, man. Oh, no. No, it's not yes, man. It's rather yes, man. Yes, man. I'm a yes, man. In other words, everything you say yes. I'm a yes, man. In meetings, I always agree with my boss, never suggesting anything different or controversial. When a boss says something, say, yes, sir. My schoolmate used to say, yes, sir, Master Baba. He just combined all the titles. Yes, sir, Master Baba. Yes, Master, and Baba means father. Okay. In meetings, I always agree with my boss, never suggesting anything different or controversial. I am terrified of confrontation. In a recent appraisal, I was told that others see me as weak and ineffectual because of this, and it's apparently held me back over the years. How can I stop this without radically altering who I am? Harold Adenta. So Harold, your question is echoed here. The business expert says there seem to be two parts to your conundrum. There seem to be two parts to your conundrum. The question of whether you do in fact have different the question of whether you do in fact have different views from your boss and others on what should be happening in your organization, and the issue of whether you choose to express these views or not. Paragraph. If you have unexpressed opinions based on your experience and insight, you are holding back a valuable commodity from your company, and it will be important for your own satisfaction and for the quality of your work that you find a way of expressing these views. It's also unlikely that your boss is always right. Yes. And having input from someone with a different point of view will help you all reach better decisions through broader understanding. Yes. I think such people are normally afraid of being fired. That's why we call boot lickers. They lick people's boots for nothing, for no reason, just to remain at post. Oh yes, they don't want to annoy the boss in case the boss says, oh, this guy must go. It happens. Okay. Paragraph. Does your compliance stance carry over into your home life? Do you always agree with what your partner or friends want to do, even if it is not what you believe to be right? Probably not. We can be highly capable in one part of our life, but overwhelmed in another. Even if it's done at home, it's understandable. When your wife says something, you agree. When your wife says something, you agree. Otherwise, you face sanctions. You know what I mean by sanctions. Put the ties close, tight. Put the ties tight, close. That's sanctions. So when she says something, Mensa, you say yes. It's Abraham, you say yes. Isa, you say yes. John, you say yes. Nigerians will say mumu. All right. Possibly not. We can be highly capable in one part of our life, but overwhelmed in another. Paragraph. If you do speak your own mind outside work, it is worth capturing that mindset of how you feel and what you look and sound like when you offer a contrary opinion and taking it with you mentally to your next big meeting so you can experiment with replicating it there. Even if at first you rehearse, even if at first you rehearse it only in your head into inverted commas. Even if at first you rehearse it in your head, okay, then into inverted commas, e.g., I would make this point now if I was speaking my mind, commas closed. Okay, you'll be reading yourself for the next chapter of your working life. I'm sorry, I read it wrongly, viewers. You will be readying to get ready. You'll be readying, in other words, preparing yourself. You'll be readying yourself for the next chapter of your working life. We go to the next paragraph. However, some people are tractable and avoid confrontation all their lives. Okay, this type of behavior often stems from childhood and may have had self-preservatory origins. Dash, being good is the safest way to be. Okay. If this is the case, it could be time to reconsider whether this behavior is as useful to you now as it may once have been. Paragraph. To start the process by unpacking, to start the process, sorry, I think my eyesight isn't very good, but manageable. To start the process, try unpacking the issue. Try unpacking the issue. Ask yourself, what is the best thing that could happen if you publicly disagreed with your boss? This means that's the question, that's what is the mind. If you publicly disagree with your boss or other figures of authority. Naming our unspoken fear is a good way of disagreeing. Does your boss respect you more? Does your boss respect you more? Do you get your own way privately? Reluctance to speak up for what we believe in is often deep rooted in low self-esteem. It's often deep rooted in low self-esteem. We don't feel worthy of having our own opinions. Yes. Yes. I remember when you have no money and you are sitting with people who are richer than you talking. You cannot talk, you keep mum. Even if you talk, nobody listens to you. I've experienced this very many times. Because we are broke, you have nothing. When people are speaking, when you open your mouth, they laugh secretly and wickedly. They secretly laugh and wickedly too. Reluctance to speak up for what we believe in is often deep-rooted in low esteem. We don't feel worthy of having our own opinions. This pattern can stick with us long after we've started to achieve some success, and the outside world can see no evidence that we are not solid citizens, more than competent to do our jobs. Paragraph. All habits are hard to break. All habits are hard to break, and self-denigration is no exception. To reduce your own self in your mind, and self-denigration is no exception. Successful behavior shifts usually require four things. The first three elements are knowledge of what you would like to achieve, an understanding of why it may of understanding of why it mattered to you, an understanding of why, okay, let me correct it, of why it matters to you, then principality and to others, and and positive experience of doing things differently. The fourth prerequisite is time. The fourth prerequisite is time. You are unlikely to transform overnight, but set some markers now for where you like to be in. See 3 months and say 3 months and find interim indicators to tell you are making progress. Into brackets, for example, disagreeing outside the meeting, one-to-one with your boss. Okay, that's another way. Okay, maybe when you are outside with your boss, you can now open your thinking tank or your thinking tank and tell your boss, I didn't really agree. I just said it. This and that are the really issues in my mind. It's not too late. It won't be too late. One-to-one with your boss. Paragraph or last paragraph. That way, each time you speak out and the ground doesn't open to swallow you, you know you are one step further along your journey. This in itself will help your self-esteem. You made a commitment to yourself and you are honoring it. You made a commitment to yourself and you are honoring it. The last part of it, how to flop with flair. How to flop with flair. Flop, F-L-O-P, for those of us who don't know. With flair, and flair is F-L-A-I-R. How to flop with flair. 1, fail with a bang, not a whimper. Fail with a bang, not a whimper. If you make enough noise, people will remember you. If you make enough noise, people will remember you. This reminds me of demonstrations when people are not happy with the government and they come together and then this cameraman will be out there. Journalists and cameramen are looking at them and filming to come on TV. Okay, this reminds me of that. Fail with a bang, not a whimper. If you make enough noise, people will remember you. 2, reflect on and learn from your disaster. Reflect from and learn from your disaster. If you like mistakes, without mistakes we don't learn. Okay. 3, don't let one flop stop you from trying again. You fall, you get up. You don't remain there. Don't let one flop stop you from trying again. Failing doesn't make you a failure. I love that. Okay. 4, avoid personal bankruptcy if you can. Avoid personal bankruptcy if you can. 5, flaunt your scars. They make you more marketable. Flaunt your scars. They make you more marketable. And 5, oh, that's 6. It's labeled, okay, that's 6. It's labeled 5 again. Okay, let's make it 6. 6, and remember, only those who dare to fail greatly can ever achieve greatly. Only those who dare to fail greatly can achieve greatly. I love that. If you fear to fail, you should expect to fear to achieve. If you fear to fail, you will fear to achieve. If you fear to fail, you are, in other words, fearing to achieve. That's another way of putting it. Viewers, I think I shall stop here. Oh God, I have some pain in my chest. I shall stop here until we meet again. Thank you very much. May God bless you and may you forgive me of my bad reading. May you forgive me of bad reading. Thank you very, very much. Bye bye. Au revoir.